Hi there and welcome back to Japan, and specifically to our track-by-track listen through to Best Scandal by Scandal. And I'm just going to say the same things I said at the beginning of all these videos. Hey, this is part of a playlist of track-by-track listen throughs to the entire album, so if you're not following it, follow it in the description link below. And obviously as well, unfortunately due to some legal stuff with Scandal and their music, this is being done as a review series rather than a reaction. I'd love to share the reactions with you, but unfortunately it's not legally allowed. But anyway, let's talk about the song, see what my conclusions were, and see if you guys agree, because I just for the first time listened to Space Ranger, which is track 7 from the Best Scandal album, and it's followed what seems to be the pattern of there being no particular pattern on this album. This is one thing that I'm really enjoying about this. I didn't know where this was going to go when I first listened to it. This is really me going in with completely no idea where everything was going to, how this was all going to sound as the first album from 2008, 2009, whenever it came out. And I've been really impressed by the fact that each track pretty much has had its own unique identity. Even now at track 7, again, we've got another track that really does stand out as having its own identity completely from the others, and yet it still is very obviously by the same band. There is a sort of a unified sound throughout, but they all managed to have, this song's, nothing sounds like filler so far. Now, the reason this takes a slightly different approach from the other tracks before it is because this one has that sort of, I guess the title Space Ranger gives us away a bit, it has that sort of road tune, that driving tune feel to it. And what I mean by that is it doesn't really feel like it's necessarily going anywhere, but in a very intentional way. It's not one of those songs that sort of starts quietly and builds up to a crescendo, or where the chorus is sort of played up and played up so you want to sing it more and more each time. In fact, there isn't really too much of a definable chorus here anyway. There is a sort of a refrain that it goes back to, but most of the time this is just sort of rocking along on that central riff, which seems to be the main core of it, and that's where it really works. The difficult thing about this kind of, I'm going to coin a term, well, I don't think I'm coining it, I'm going to use the term like road music or sort of driving music. The reason I'm going to use that term is because I think it's a slightly difficult thing to achieve. I don't think it's as easy as it maybe sounds. You just sort of think, so you could just rock along and do a jam to, or maybe you could. But you have to have a central core to these type of songs, a solid core that you want to keep on going back to. And this kind of has that in a simple but, catchy guitar, bass and drums combination, and it sort of rocks along quite well. Now, they nicely sort of pad that out. That's kind of your Ranger bit, I guess you could say. Your space bit comes from the slightly sci-fi, ever so slightly cheesy but not overused sounds that start off in the intro, but then come up into things like little keyboard bits. And I do like a lot of the keyboard stuff when it comes up on this album, although as far as I'm aware, Scandal, I'm just looking at the cover picture of them now. I don't believe they have a dedicated keyboard player. I can't believe that I haven't actually really thought about this yet, but I'm pretty sure that several of the members also play keyboard. But anyway, let's not get into that right now. As always, you guys tell me in the comments, you know more about the band than I do. I just give you my music industry experience crap. Makes me sound like I know so much. If my explanations make sense, that's good enough. So, the keyboardy stuff that comes in is kind of fun, a little bit cheesy, and this Hammond organ sound going on, which I really like. And I wouldn't know if it's necessarily the most sci-fi stuff, but it plays towards that kind of science fiction-y sound a little bit, those slightly more cheesy sounds, as I say. And they work nicely as well to give the song a little bit of personality, stop it coming a little bit too, shall we say, a little bit too gritty and gnarly like this type of music could otherwise be. There is a sense of fun to this as well. It's kind of like a fun driving song. It's a nice combination of those things. Now, what I particularly liked about this was there were some nice touches in the production side of thing, what the producers did here, and like I said, I've been a bit up and down on the production of this album thus far, but one of the things I really liked about the production of this is that there was this sense that everything was kind of kept smooth, although it was rocking along. I mean, the core of the song was that very sort of hard-hitting drum and bass combination, and the guitar backing that up as well, sort of mirroring that, but the production did a good job to keep everything sort of sounding smooth, to keep it going along nicely, because one of the things you notice, if you've got a very sort of sharp-sounding riff and you play it very sharply and you just rely on those sounds, it can become tiresome quickly or quicker. So when you have sort of sounds that, if you like, ride over the top of everything, that kind of smooth it out, I sometimes say it's like the sort of glue between things, it thickens up the sound. Those things keep everything sounding a little bit more, will give it more longevity. And in this case, I noticed there was lots of points where I'm assuming the producer would have been the one responsible for this. He was just kind of telling people to hold extra notes. Like, you get a guitar stab and then there'll be like a little bit with the guitar stab. Sort of, it was held underneath the riff. Bits where like the organ bit would be held like, my vocal representations of musical instruments are totally on point as usual. So yes, there was just like nice little touches there where you could tell the producer was going for sort of longer sounds to keep everything sounding smooth, and that does really lead me to my main point here, which is at the end of the song you don't feel tired of it. You could definitely go around and listen to that song again. Because there's no hook or anything worth speaking of, it's not something where you're going to go back and listen to it for a sing-along value, but it's the sort of thing where if you were, like I say, if you were driving, this is a driving song in my opinion, if you were driving along and this was in the background, it would make such a good, easy and non-tiresome, non-repetitive, very good, like I say, due to production and some nice, simple, clever writing. It's so good at maintaining its length that you wouldn't get bored of it. In fact, at the end, I think you'd be more than happy to put it on again. I'm kind of tempted to listen to it a second time now if I didn't have to move on to the next track, which I do have to do. One little thing I will put in is like I say, it's got that core and it occasionally breaks to, like I say, I don't really want to call it a hook. It's more of a little refrain that just goes in there occasionally, but it's a really nice little break-up. It does slightly shift and play around a little bit with the rhythm, but not at the same time does that brilliantly without, if you like, stopping the energy and the sort of kinetic energy of the song. So there's just lots of nice relaxing touches in this one. I think that it's a very simple formula which is pulled off due to a knowing ability to play with the subtleties, the nuances of this type of music. Anyone, yes, could sit down and do a driving tune where you just sort of like repeat a riff over and over, do it catchy, make it head bobby. But I think those tracks, at least in my opinion, they tend to get a little bit old, a bit fast. I think this one has more longevity in that it doesn't really go for any big chorus or anything. It just tries to keep that energy going in the details of the production, in the details of the playing, in a nice melody, in strong performances. It's like I say, it's a good all-rounder. It's not a single, it's a very, very good album track. Well, actually, wait, I've been wrong about this a few times. Maybe it is a single. Maybe you guys are going to tell me it's a single and I'm going to be like, okay. But it doesn't strike me as the sort of song that should be a single. It strikes me as the sort of song where it's a great album track, and when it comes on between the singles, assumedly, you'd be really happy, like, yeah, this is why I listen to the album and I don't just listen to best of collections. So anyway, really like that. I'm going to move on to the next track now, which is Ring Ring Ring. So if you're following this in the playlist in the description below, you'll find the link for it. If you're not already, then you can join me on the next video for Ring 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 in just a second, or you can check out any of the other videos on this channel. But for now, from Japan, thank you so much for tuning in, and drop your opinions in the comments below and tell me what you think. Tell me why you disagree. Tell me things I might not know about the band or things I might be getting wrong because I don't know the background of these albums. As always, I love to learn about that stuff from you guys. So until then, ciao ciao. Thanks for watching. Feel free to check out more of our hundreds of videos we got online on this channel right now, or get involved in the discussion with us at the many social media links we've got in the description below, where you can suggest new videos and artists for us to check out on the channel. Or you can just do the usual YouTube stuff and comment, like, subscribe. You know how this works by now.